My presentation for this ICES 2020 is titled Fear of Isolation Among Adolescent Students with Special Needs, Challenges to Counseling During the Pandemic. I am Professor Datin Dr. Kwek Ai Hua from Help University, Malaysia. For this presentation, I have outlined as social interaction, quality of life, fear of social isolation, adolescent students with special needs, a case approach, and challenges to counseling. Social interaction as a process involves people in all their diversity, and this of course includes students who are adolescent in their development and have some disabilities. And these students are also interacting in the sense that they are communicating and responding to each other for various purposes, including to greet people, to make friends, to share an idea, to ask or to answer a question, to make a request, to solve a problem, and to get information. And so we know social interaction has much to do for a better quality of life. And this can occur among people when people are able to communicate and respond to each other. They are said to be in touch with each other. And therefore, such interactions, as WHO said, can bring up a feeling of wellness. And this feeling of wellness is important because it can help in many ways, such as it can initiate social ties to be connected to one another. And for students, especially adolescent schooling students with special needs, they are able to get feedback from peers, friends, classmates, and teachers. And on top of that, they are able to feel a sense of belonging. And this sense of belonging has much to do with this feeling of safety, which would then build in these students and adolescents in their development strong belief that they can then have a sense of belonging and they feel safe in the way they communicate, as it's stated in social interaction. And on top of that, they are able to then, if they interact, they are able to have emotional bonding and have a sense of tolerance and loyalty with the people they interact and the people whom they feel connected to. And these are all very important according to the World Health Organization 2020 that speaks of feeling of wellness as the cornerstone of quality of life. And this is important, in the sense that having this particular feeling of social connectedness and being able to build relationship, then the idea that they are able to establish social relationship with other people make them better able and more confident. And this way can then let themselves be free from the fear of social isolation. Social isolation has much to do with experiencing fear that can challenge the quality of life, which can come about due to the loss of social ties when these adolescents who are schooling and have some disabilities, they somehow or rather experience ideas and feelings that they are not connected, or they have not been able to be connected with others, and they are having some difficulty in getting feedback from peers, classmates, and teachers. And these also come together with another loss of sense of belonging. And due to these, students who are in the adolescent years can then feel unsafe. And at the same time, they feel tense and nervous and also are not able to experience emotional bonds with loved ones. See, right? It is important, right, to recognize that adolescent students with special needs and have, right, some form of limited social interaction prior to the current pandemic. Some research show that such students tend to experience the fear of social isolation, and that some research indicated that the fear of social isolation can be debilitating and is a risk factor for anxiety and depression among adolescents with special needs. As such, it is important to think that social isolation can then be a threat to people's well-being. And well-being in this case, as I have presented here, is shown in a casework of various other counseling cases, indicated that wellness is not a static approach, but it is a conscious process of development of the whole self of the individuals with special needs. And therefore, it is important that students, especially adolescents, with this fear of isolation, they need a lot of assurance, and also they need some form of programs, a treatment program, if they are referred to be able, to then retain back their confidence and the idea of being able to interact with other people. And as such, we know that counseling can present certain appropriate tools, for these young adolescents to then discover what they can do with themselves and with the help of others, so that they can get on in life to achieve meaningful goal state. And this presents challenges to counseling. So we need to create awareness among counselors to promote a better quality of life as well as social well-being among adolescent students with special needs. More importantly here, as I have said just now, and according to the World Health Organization 2020, it is emphasized that the concept of wellness is something that is needed to be cultivated. It needs to be made aware, and then there needs to be an initiation, something like volition or wellness, so that these adolescent students with special needs will then participate and be aware, and together with support and help become more motivated to improve their wellness here. And for this matter, it is important to understand the integration of parents for facilitating the counseling process of adolescents in building social relationship. So this presents one form of a challenge, which indeed is more towards groups of people, such as parents and their children with special needs, who needs this particular help, the counseling help, to then build social relationship and then to get on with what they want to do for meaningful life, and therefore wellness and good quality of life then. Secondly, a challenge that is shown here is how to use the insights for assisting parents within the larger social context, including community and society, for helping out potential intervention programs for adolescent students with special needs. So, if we look at each of these challenges, and from what has been done with certain casework, I have listed here, as said in the earlier slides, understanding the integration of parenting for facilitating the counseling process of adolescents in building social relationships to reduce fear of isolation. And I have put here family learning skills to provide positive relationships for warmth in relationships building that will include sense of belonging, so that safety and more confidence can then be cultivated among these individuals, and at the same time have emotional bond or closeness in the relationship, which they can then experience and feel warm, and as such then help themselves to be more motivated in building positive relationships with others. The second challenge which I presented earlier was using these insights for assisting parents within the larger social context, including community and society, for working out potential intervention programs for adolescent students with special needs to reduce their fear of isolation. And so in this case, what is important is family learn about monitoring social media, not just for academic purposes, but also for encouraging positive relationships, especially in connecting with friends via social media, Instagram, WhatsApp, Facebook, so that inbuilt into relationship, especially positive relationship, is not just how parents monitor social relationships for academic purposes, but on a more wider context where they can help these adolescents to build up good relationships for non-academic purposes, such as for friendship, for common interests, and these can then build a greater sense of belonging and safety and better confidence, which can then work to reduce the fear of isolation. As such, what is important here is that counseling can work in this present current pandemic to then use casework approach, whereby more efforts are made towards integrating of parenting for working out with potential intervention programs, so that students, especially adolescent students with special needs, can then be helped by facilitating the counseling process of these students, and together working with parents as teams, in building social relationship, in the larger social context, such as within the community and society. Thank you very much.